Greetings, friends, and welcome back to Scripture and Prophecy. Today is Monday, October 16th, 2017. I'm your host, Sean. The website is www.scriptureandprophecy.com. Today we are ready to continue our study in the book of Bereishis, Genesis, and we're ready for chapters 20 and 21 today. And where we left off was chapter 19, which is where the two angels came and forced Lot to follow them out of the city. And then Jehovah rained fire and brimstone. And Sodom and Gomorrah, as the scriptures say, was an example to us, to those of us who should so after live ungodly according to the scriptures. And now we're going to completely change directions with that as we get into chapter 20 and 21, and we'll see the birth of Isaac, Issac, which literally translates and means laughter. And, the root word that comes from Issac means laughter. And so Isaac's name is actually spelled Yod, Sadi, Hey, Kof in Hebrew. Actually, it's Het, not Hey. So it's Yitzhak is how it's pronounced. And so anyway, it's derived from the word that means laughter. And we'll see that in the scriptures. And it'll make sense to us why Sarah wanted to name him that. But also, God told them what to name their son, because names in the Hebrew language actually matter and they mean something. So anyway, without further delay, let's just dig right in and see what the scriptures have to say. Bereishis, Genesis, chapter 20. Abraham sojourned from there to the region of the south and settled between Kadesh and Shur, and he sojourned in Gerar. Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, "She is my sister." So Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. And God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "Behold, you are to die, because of the woman that you have taken. Moreover, she is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not approached her. So he said, "Oh, my lord, will you slay a nation, even though it is righteous? Did not he himself tell me, 'She is my sister'?" And she too herself said, "He is my brother. In the innocence of my heart and the integrity of my hands have I done this." And God said to him in a dream, "I too knew that it was in the innocence of your heart that you did this, and I too prevented you from sinning against me. That is why I did not permit you to touch her. But now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, be aware that you shall surely die, you and all that is yours." Of course, this is the second time now that we've seen Abraham go into a city, and he tells his wife, who actually is his half-sister, "Say that you are my sister, because if you say that you're my wife, they're going to kill me on account of your beauty and take you." And what's interesting is we know that Sarah is in her old age at this time, yet even then she is still so beautiful that all the kings immediately take her into their kingdom, I guess as you would say it, as one of the ladies that they have around. Verse 8. Abimelech arose early next morning, and he summoned all his servants, and he told them of all these things in their ears, and the people were very frightened. Then Abimelech summoned Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us? How have I sinned against you that you brought upon me and my kingdom such great sin? Deeds that ought not to be done have you done to me?" And Abimelech said to Abraham, "What did you see that you did such a thing?" And Abraham said, "Because I said, there is but no fear of God in this place, and they will slay me because of my wife. Moreover, she is indeed my sister, my father's daughter, though not my mother's daughter, and she became my wife. And so it was, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, I said to her, let this be your kindness which you shall do for me. To whatever place we come, say of me, he is my brother. So Abimelech took flocks and cattle and servants and maidservants and gave to Abraham. And he returned his wife Sarah to him. And Abimelech said, behold, my land is before you, settle wherever you see fit. And to Sarah he said, behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, let it be for you an eye covering for all who are with you, and to all you will be vindicated. Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his maids, and they were relieved, for Jehovah had completely restrained every orifice of the household of Abimelech because of Sarah, the wife of Abraham. So Jehovah God had made everyone unable to use the restroom, is what I'm guessing this means. Every orifice was closed, so to speak, until Sarah was returned to Abraham. And I just love how, Abraham's such a great and righteous servant to God, completely obedient, and God is always showing Abraham favor. Everywhere he goes, he leaves with more than what he came with. If a king tries to take his wife, they end up getting a dream and plagues and things on their house, on their households. I just find that amazing. I want that type of relationship with God, don't you? I think we all desire that kind of relationship, that kind of closeness with God, that kind of umbrella of protection from God. Starting with chapter 21. Jehovah had remembered Sarah, and he said, and Jehovah did for Sarah as he had spoken. Sarah conceived and bore a son unto Abraham in his old age, at the appointed time which God had spoken. Abraham called the name of his son, who was born to him, whom Sarah had borne him, Isaac, Yitzchak. Abraham circumcised his son Isaac at the age of 8 days, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Whosoever hears will laugh for me. And she said, who is the one who said to Abraham, Sarah would nurse children, for I have borne a son in his old age? The child grew and was weaned. Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian woman, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. So she said to Abraham, drive out this slave woman with her son, for the son of that slave woman shall not inherit with my son, with Isaac. The matter greatly distressed Abraham regarding his son. So God said to Abraham, be not distressed over the youth or your slave woman. Whatever Sarah tells you, heed her voice, since through Isaac will the offspring be considered yours. But the son of the slave woman as well will I make into a nation, for he is your offspring. So Abraham awoke early in the morning, took bread and a skin of water, and gave it them to Hagar. He placed them on her shoulder along with the boy, and sent her off. She departed and strayed in the desert of Beersheba. When the water of the skin was consumed, she cast off the boy beneath one of the trees. She went and sat herself down at a distance, some bow shots away, for she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat at a distance, lifted her voice, and wept. God heard her cry of the youth, and an angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heeded the cry of the youth in his present state. Arise, lift up the youth, and grasp your hand upon him, for I will make a great nation of him. Then God opened her eyes, and she perceived a well of water. She went and filled the skin with the water, and gave the youth to drink. So basically what's happened is, during this celebration of Isaac being weaned, Ishmael was doing something that was mocking Isaac, and it just kind of set Sarah off, and she said, get this woman and her son and get them out of here, because they're not going to be taking part in the inheritance of Isaac. which God had already said would be the case. God tells Abraham, just do what your wife asks. Don't worry, I'm going to take care of her. And then, of course, Hagar's out wandering around. They have no water. She's thirsty. She can't find a well or anything to drink. She's weeping. The boy's weeping. An angel from heaven tells her not to fear. There's going to be a great nation made out of Ishmael. And then, of course, her eyes are opened, and she's able to perceive that there's actually a well right there. I think there's a lesson in that sometimes. I wonder how many times in our lives what we need is right there. It's just we're unable to see it until God opens our eyes to the reality of what's going on, till God opens our eyes so that we can see what's right in front of us, which sometimes means we need to be crying out to God. We cry out to God, He'll open your eyes, and then you'll say, oh, silly me, there's a well right in front of me. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the scenario that happened with Hagar here. Let's continue on. God was with the youth, and he grew up. He dwelt in the desert and became an accomplished archer. He lived in the desert of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. At that time, Abimelech, the fickle general of his legion, said to Abraham, God is with you in all that you do. Now swear to me, here by God, that you will not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my grandson, according to the kindness that I have done with you. Do with me, and within the land which you have sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. Then Abraham disputed with Abimelech regarding the well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. But Abimelech said, I do not know who did this thing. Furthermore, you have never told me, and moreover, I myself have never heard nothing of it except for today. So Abraham took flocks and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them entered into a covenant. Abraham set 7 ewes of the flock by themselves, and Abimelech said to Abraham, what are these 7 ewes which you have set by themselves? And he replied, because you are to take these 7 ewes from me, that it may serve me as a testimony that I dug this well. Therefore, that place was called Beersheba, because there the two of them took an oath. Thus they entered into a covenant at Beersheba. Abimelech then arose with Phicol, his general, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. He planted an eshel in Beersheba, and there he proclaimed the name of Yahovah, God of the universe. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines many years. And that, my friends, is the end of chapters 20 and 21. And now Isaac has entered the picture, the one whom was promised to Abraham by God. And it's funny, his name means, derived from the root word that means laughter, because if you think back, a couple chapters ago, when God shows up with the 2 angels, and he says, Sarah's going to have a child 1 year from today, and it says that Sarah laughed within herself. Not out loud, but within herself, thinking, am I going to have pleasure in my old age? And my master, my husband, is old also. And then, of course, she has the boy, she does conceive, and she's filled with laughter. And she says, anybody who hears of this will laugh how I had this child. My master was old. I just, for whatever reason, I always just find it interesting that these names mean something that's so relevant to the story, and I just think that it's not an accident. Even the names that we have today, I just don't think that they're an accident. As a matter of fact, my name, Sean, if you look it up, and so if you go, what does this name mean in Hebrew? It's derived from Yohanan, which is John, which means Yehovah is gracious. And so it's interesting to look those things up, and I look at my life, And while I've had some serious struggles and had to overcome a lot of obstacles when I was younger, right out of high school, I look back through my life and I think, man, God really has been gracious to me, and He's given me more grace than I deserve. And so to me, it's a bigger. It's I don't know how to articulate or how to describe what I'm trying to say, other than I'll say what I always say: names matter, and they especially matter to Elohim, to God. Well, that is our study for this morning, and Lord willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow morning for chapter 22 in our study of the book of Genesis. And until next time, peace and grace be with all of you. God bless.